Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the breakout session. My name is Dr. Brian Kelly, a psychologist with the VA Pacific Islands. I'll serve as host for this breakout session on Veterans Benefits Administration. Before I introduce our speaker, I just want to give everyone a friendly reminder. If you do get disconnected from the presentation, not to worry, just simply go back to the conference webpage and then you can click back on the breakout session that you'd like to attend. So that's just some instructions to keep in mind in case that does happen. And with that, I'd like to introduce our speaker for this breakout session, Eric Gaskin. And Eric, he heads the public contact and outreach team at the Honolulu VA Regional Office. He oversees outreach services in Hawaii, Guam, American Samoa, and the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. He also leads the Integrated Disability Evaluation System designed to improve the disability evaluation process and facilitate transition for service members facing potential medical discharges. Eric began his VA career in October of 2006, and he is a retired Air Force veteran. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Eric and take it away.
Thank you, Brian, for those kind words. As Brian said, I'm Eric Gaskin, and I'm with the Honolulu Regional Office, Public Contact and Outreach Team. It's a pleasure to be speaking with you today. We're going to be going through a presentation I put together in a condensed format based on the time requirements that was allowed to me. You may see me come off of camera. That helps to contain some of the bandwidth used for the program. Okay. Today I'll be discussing these 5 areas. A veteran's claim when there's an indication that the veteran may be homeless. I'll go over VA compensation and pension eligibility. What is service connection? And finally, I'll touch on character of discharge. The VA homeless veteran claims. In accordance with the McKinley-Vento Homeless Assistance Act, the Veterans Benefits Administration qualifies a veteran as homeless when the veteran self-identifies as such, or when there's an indication a veteran is living in a primary nighttime residence not meant for human habitation. And these areas are such as a car, a park, abandoned building, a bus, train station, airport, or a camping ground, just to name some. The categories that qualify for priority claims processing with the VBA are the homeless veterans, as we mentioned, the veterans experiencing financial hardship, veterans that have been seriously or very seriously injured, terminally ill veterans, veterans over the age of 85, former prisoners of war, and Medal of Honor recipients. The Veterans Benefits Administration will apply priority claims processing when there's an indication that the veteran is homeless. This is usually identified by the veteran at the time the claim is filed. However, it can be applied at any point while the claim is open. These claims, homeless veteran claims, are usually worked by the Honolulu Regional Office. Nationwide, one of VBA's policies is to work the homeless claims in the location of jurisdiction. Each regional office is required to have a homeless veteran claims coordinator and a homeless veteran outreach coordinator. The homeless veteran claims coordinator is responsible for tracking the pending claim throughout the different cycles to ensure it continues to move forward as quickly as possible towards a decision. The homeless veteran outreach coordinator is assigned to the public contact team. Right now we have 2 individuals that have been identified to administer outreach on a primary basis to veterans needing that, but the whole team is equipped to do so if needed. This person, our primary individuals, also serve as the Justice Involved Veterans Coordinator. They work closely with the VA HUD-VASH team. VA disability compensation. What is VA disability compensation? It's a benefit paid to veterans because of injuries or disease that happen during active duty. In some cases, an existing injury or disease was worsened due to active military service, and this is a tax-free benefit. A veteran may be eligible for disability compensation if they are found to have a service-related disability or illness and their character of discharge is not dishonorable. I'll talk more about the character of discharge later in the presentation. Monetary benefits range from 10% to 100%, depending on the severity of the disability. Additional benefits are paid to very severe disabilities or loss of limbs, whether there is a spouse, children, a dependent parent, and also if there's a severely disabled spouse. VA service connection. So service connection describes an injury or disease that has resulted in a disability that has been linked to the veteran's military service. If the evidence of record has established that there is a link between the claimed medical condition and the veteran's military service, and the veteran, again, was discharged under other than dishonorable conditions. There are 4 separate ways the VA establishes service connections. Those ways are direct, secondary, presumptive, and aggravation. Direct service connection exists when evidence shows that the injury or disease did not pre-exist military service, but was present at the time of separation. Secondary service connection exists when a disability occurred from a service-connected condition. So an example of this would be when a veteran is service-connected for a right knee strain, and due to the pain caused from the right knee strain, began to place additional stress on the left knee. As a result, a disability manifested to that left knee. Presumptive service connection describes disabilities that did not exist before, during, or immediately following active military service. However, because a veteran served in a certain location while on active duty, should certain approved disabilities manifest following service, service connection may be established on a basis of presumption. So, for example, a veteran who served in country in the Republic of Vietnam during active military service later develops diabetes mellitus type 2, which is a disability associated with exposure to the herbicide Agent Orange. Service connection may be established based on presumptive exposure. Another example would be a veteran who develops arthritis to a compensable degree in any joint within 12 months following military separation. Service connection may be established based on presumption. Service connection based on aggravation describes an injury or disease that is documented to have existed prior to entry into active military service. However, it was determined not to be disabling, and the member was allowed entry into military service. However, at the time of separation, the injury was found to have manifested itself to a compensable degree. So an example would be a person who may have injured their left shoulder falling off a bicycle at age 12. History of the injury is documented without residual and noted on the military entrance physical. At the time of that service member's separation from active military service, the left shoulder was found to be at least 10% disabling. And because of that, service connection on a basis of aggravation may be established because the evidence of record clearly establishes a worsening of that left shoulder. VA pension, and what is it? VA pension is a needs-based benefit program for wartime veterans who are age 65 or older or have a permanent and total non-service connected disability and who have limited income and net worth. Veterans who are more seriously disabled may qualify for pension at the increased housebound or aid and attendance rate. And a veteran may be eligible for VA pension if they were discharged from service under other than dishonorable conditions, and they served 90 days or more of active duty with at least 1 day during a period of wartime, and accountable income is below the maximum annual pension rate, which as of December 1st, 2019 was $13,752, and they meet the net worth limitations, and they are age 65 or older, or have a permanent and total non-service connected disability, or are a patient in a nursing home due to mental or physical incapacity, or they are receiving Social Security disability benefits. So this slide here shows the wartime periods that are recognized by the Veterans Administration for VA pension purposes. Why is the character of a veteran's discharge important? A veteran is entitled to the full rights and benefits of programs administered by the Department of Veteran Affairs when the Department of Defense's characterization of that veteran's service is honorable or under honorable conditions or general. Any character of service listed above is binding on VA irrespective of the separation reason, unless the separation reason is a statutory bar to benefits, which I'll go over on the next slide. A character of discharge determination is required when a veteran applies for VA benefits, whether it's health care or non-health care related, such as disability compensation or pension, when the character of discharge is undesirable or other than honorable or bad conduct. So what does a statutory bar to VA benefits mean? A statutory bar to VA benefits exists when VA determines a former service member's discharge or release was due to conscientious objection and refusal to perform military duty, wear the uniform, or comply with lawful orders of competent military authorities, being sentenced by general court-martial, resignation by an officer for the good of the service, an alien during a period of hostilities, absence without official leave, or a continuous period of at least 180 days, and desertion. The character of discharge process gets started by VA in one of two ways. A veteran applies for VA health care, and it's later determined the character of discharge is warranted. The VA Health Administration's Member Services Department will complete a VA Form 20-0986, Eligibility Determination for Character of Discharge Request Form, and forward that form to the Veterans Benefits Administration for processing. Another way is when the veteran files a claim through the Benefits Administration for, let's say, disability compensation or VA pension benefits, and the character of discharge is not one that entitles the veteran to the full rights and benefits of programs administered by the VA, which again are honorable, under honorable conditions, or general. The VA will develop to the respective service department, which are the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, for the facts and circumstances surrounding the discharge to reach a favorable discharge determination. This can sometimes be a lengthy process, I can tell you that. Well, this concludes my areas of discussion. Wanted to make sure I left time to at least attempt to answer any questions that there may be. And while I go over any questions you may have, what I would like to do is share some contact information. And so this contact slide that is showing will be up if you would like to write down any of this information that's listed above. And with that, I will open it up for any questions.
Thank you so much, Eric. Excellent presentation. We do have some questions here for you. If you want to, we'll go off the first one, which is, can we find out who is the homeless veterans claims and outreach coordinators? Who are they and why, so that we can connect homeless veterans that seek services? They're not veteran specific.
Okay, good question. So the homeless veteran claims coordinator works exclusively in the Veteran Service Center. And what they do is process the claim once the veteran has filed the claim and been identified as homeless. The homeless veteran outreach coordinator is posted on our website. That individual it can be contacted by the email box that's shown, the pctc.vba HON box. It can also be reached at the 433-0505 number. Now, as it relates to placing veterans in housing, we usually work in conjunction with the Health Administration's HUD-VASH office. And while we're on, I can look up that number and place it in the box as well. And right now I am typing up the number for VA HUD-VASH. So if you know of a veteran, or if there is a veteran out there in need of permanent or temporary housing, those are the experts that can get that process moving forward. And one of the names that I have is Mr. Andy Dahlberg. Don't hold me to the spelling of the last name, but I believe that's pretty close.
Yeah, that's correct. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, we do have another question here. What is the best way to inform the VA if a veteran becomes homeless, danger of homelessness, while their claims is in process with the VBA? And that may be related to, connecting with Andy Dahlberg as well, but is there any other resources that you would offer for this question?
Yes, and actually I'll give a short answer and a more detailed answer. The short answer would be any entry point to the VA. The VA is comprised of three administrations, the Health Administration, the Benefits Administration, and the National Cemetery. Most veterans come in contact with the Benefits and the Health Administration on a more recurrent basis, and we all come in contact with the National Cemetery, but it won't be much follow-up action there. So as it applies to the Benefits and the Health Administration, just letting that VA agent, that VA employee know that you are dealing with, that the veteran has a claim pending. As I say, we deal a lot and work closely with eligibility and enrollment, so as well as the HUD-VASH team, and they're familiar with the PCTC mailbox that is shown on the screen. And we get emails of that sort every day. You also have the VA National Call Center on this slide, which is the last entry. We communicate with them in several different methods on a daily basis. Reporting homelessness, homeless veterans to that number will generate follow-up action as well. And of course, the 0505 extension is a good number to contact. So the first two entries are directly in the office that I supervise. And they drive a lot of our actions on a daily basis. So, and that's a good thing because we reach those we otherwise wouldn't. We do have an out-based office in Hilo that covers Kona. We have another out-based office on Maui that covers all of Maui County, Molokai, Illinois. And then we haven't done this during the COVID distancing, but we do normally send a benefits counselor to the Kauai Vet Center on a monthly basis. And we hope to be able to resume that fairly soon.
Great, thank you, Eric. We have a number of questions streaming through here. I'll go back up to the chat box where one was posted earlier. What is the percentage of upgrades that have led to a successful outcome? Do you have any information around that?
Percentage of upgrades that led to a successful outcome.
Probably upgrade requests.
Okay, if I understand that question correctly, I believe it's relating to a claim for increased evaluation. The veteran wants to go from 30% to 50%. Or I do not have that information as far as how successful those requests are, unfortunately.
Okay, here's a related question maybe, but what is the typical turnaround time for character status upgrades? Well,
Yeah, I mentioned in the briefing that can be somewhat of a lengthy process, and it depends on several factors. The major one is the response, how quickly we get the response from the service department, how long that veteran has been out of service, and how detailed and how complete the service records are. Keeping in mind that whatever the incident was, it occurred during that period of active military service. So if that was during, let's say, the Vietnam era, which takes you back to the 60s and 70s, depending on how well those records were kept and maintained, has a bearing on the outcome being decided 30 plus years later. The more recent the service, the more careful the service departments have been with the way they preserve the records. A lot of those are digital, and easier to retrieve. But nonetheless, that's what it depends on. I've seen them resolved in as quickly as 4 months, and I've seen some stretch out further than that.
Great. And is there a specific person, Eric, or a point of contact that helps veterans with that upgrade process, that status upgrade request?
Yeah, and I was going to lean into that next. There are various veteran service organizations in Hawaii and in every state that if the veteran signs on to allow them to represent them, and that organization is willing to take the veteran on as a client, they help quite a bit with the discharge upgrade process. The veteran themselves can also apply to upgrade the discharge, but unless you know what you're doing, sometimes it's better to be walk through the process. Now, I mentioned in my presentation that when a veteran reaches out to the VA for some type of benefit service, whether it's for healthcare or something non-healthcare related, that claim, should the VA be able to see that, whether it's through DD 214 or other certificate of discharge, that veteran doesn't have what's called the requisite service, the first obligation of the VA is to try to get that veteran to a point where he or she does qualify for the different entitlement programs administered by the VA. And that whole process is done on behalf of the veteran. But if with that not existing, and the veteran seeks out a veteran service officer for assistance, they can walk them through the process as well. But they would have to sign you on as a client. And that usually doesn't cost anything. It shouldn't cost anything at all. And there's some patience involved because it can be a timely process.
Great, thank you.
Yes, sir.
The next question, if a veteran resides on Guam or one of the outer islands, American Samoa, what's the best way for these veterans to file for a service-connected claim?
Okay, so the most efficient way, of course, is to file online through www.va.gov. And if you have an e-benefits account, a premium e-benefits account, you can do so there. If you are more prone to want to go to a brick and mortar, a regional office or a benefits office and sit and speak with someone, we do have a benefits office in Guam, right next to the airport in Tizen, next to the Social Security Administration. Right now, we're not accepting customers. So the email address that you see and the telephone number up front there will generate a contact back to you from this regional office and put you in contact with a benefits counselor located in Guam. With regards to American Samoa, we usually work in close ties with the American Samoa Vet Center. They have the information that you see on the slide, and they tend to reach out to us also on an almost daily basis to follow up with veterans regarding their VA benefit matters. And not just veterans. When I say veterans, I'm including surviving spouses and other dependents of veterans. We do in the CNMI, the Commonwealth of the Northern Marianas, the same opportunities exist. The Guam Benefits Office personnel usually covers the CNMI as well as the Guam.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Another question here, what does the Honolulu Regional Office do when a veteran's medical records were submitted to the VA and then lost? So in these cases, when the submitted records are lost, how can they proceed with claims?
Your question mentioned something about lost records.
Just if they get lost in the submission process, what's the next step? What do they do in the case of submitted records being lost in terms of moving forward with their claims process?
Okay, I didn't get everything you said, but I'm gonna give it a shot. So if what we're talking about is military medical records, we call service treatment records. Those records would be vital to establishing an in-service incurrence of the illness or the disability being sought after. If we're talking post-service records, and whether they're federal, if they're federal, we can always, there's avenues of retrieving those. If they're private, then that would result in going back to that private provider. I'm not sure so as far as responding to the question as I understand it, those are my responses to how we would pursue remedying the issue. For lost federal records, we have to continue to search for them until the repositories, whether it's the Records Management Center or a National Personnel Records Center, gives us a negative response that they have exhausted all resources and they didn't turn up anything on those records. And then we'll do what we call a formal finding and continue to find ways to see if it's possible to move forward with the claim in lieu of having those records. I've seen those particular claims turn out both positive and negative for the veteran.
Great, thank you, Eric. We'll move on to another question. We have a number rolling through. We'll try to get to as many as we can the next 9 minutes or so.
And whatever I can get to, Mark, I'm sorry, Brian, I will respond to any inquiries to that public contact mailbox you see on your screen.
Excellent, thank you. Are you aware of any local resources for organizations that can, help with assisting veterans? Scroll bar just moved. Assisting veterans to upgrade military discharges.
Sure. The veteran service organizations that I just mentioned, and the local ones here are, you have Disabled American Veterans, you have the Hawaii Office of Veteran Services, you have the Veterans of Foreign Wars, the Wounded Warrior Project, and you also have American Legion. They all have the capability of assisting veterans with properly applying for a discharge upgrade and understanding the process. And they also manage some of the expectations as far as the timeliness. And once that inquiry goes in, you're awaiting response from someone else. And they usually work those at the repository centers in a first in, first out basis. So again, there is some patience involved. So if there's a veteran out there who does not have the requisite service, that being the honorable, under honorable conditions or general, now would be the time to get that process started. What I will do is, if this applies, or whomever that may apply to, if you could send an inquiry to that public contact mailbox, I can send you information on how to contact each of those offices during this time of COVID-19 distancing. None of those offices are open for in-person customers, but they are open for assisting customers. And that's usually through technology, using video, email, or telephone.
Great, thank you. Next question. Do you still support paper applications, or is everything online? And if so, how do you help those who don't have any online access to apply for disability benefits?
Excellent question. Yes, we still take paper applications. I don't see the VA ever getting away from that, not anytime in the near future. And what we've done is, on that here at the Honolulu Regional Office, that number, the top number on the screen here, if that is called, you will get a voicemail. That voice message details how we are proceeding to assist veterans and claimants alike when it comes to filing for benefits. And what that would normally happen is, you would identify by leaving a message whether you want a telephone call back or you would prefer a video interview. A lot of people are on the move. They'll take a video interview over the cell phone or a computer. A benefits counselor will contact you, same as over the telephone. They'll contact you on the phone, work up the claim with you, and mail the claim out to you for your review, your signature, and date, as well as providing you information on where to send it. Some elect to send it right back here to the regional office. I'm at the regional office today. We did have 2 fax claims that I was able to prepare to go to our evidence intake center. We'll also give you the mailing address to the evidence intake center so you can send it yourself, as well as the fax number to the evidence intake center. So although you can't come to the regional office and file that claim yourself, the process is still there, and it still helps to move the claim forward expeditiously. Our metric is, if you call and you leave a message for a call back, you will receive a response within 20 minutes of your message. Now, you may not get the interview in 20 minutes, but it's at that time that you will be instructed on when the interview date and time will be. And if you call us the same day before 2:30 p.m., you're almost guaranteed to get the same day interview. And right now, we're able to move forward with that inside of 2 hours from the time you call.
Great, thank you. The next question, what is the typical turnaround for veterans? You know, what should they expect when they're requesting their medical records from their services archives? Is there a typical turnaround time for those kinds of requests?
Okay, I'll try and answer this like this. For the individuals getting out of the military now, all services have been pretty good with downloading a copy of their medical and personnel records onto a CD and providing them with the service member at the time of exiting. I'm not saying that's 100%, but a lot of them are doing it. I know that because I see the claims coming in from service members who are still on active duty, but within 180 days of their discharge. So they have the records, they file in the claim to try and get benefits started before they become veteran status. If they've been out for a while and we're going back and we're asking the service department, we're checking with our archives, the Records Management Center, or the National Personnel Records Center. Do you have military records for Eric Gaskin? And for them to search that and then get back with us to let us know. Again, I've seen, we do follow-ups every 30 to 60 days. And I've seen those come in as little as 30 days. As soon, I should say, as 30 days. And I've seen them take longer. Certainly during this time where those centers are limited because of the COVID outbreak, all those times I'm giving you have been extended. And I would imagine that until we get back to being fully staffed and fully operational, as far as having the full set of number of employees going into these centers and actually being able to work, do the work, is probably gonna drag.
Okay, we have just under a minute, but maybe we can squeeze in one more brief answer. Is there any further specific guidance when veterans are claiming pain and suffering? Could be a longer answer to that question, but is there any kind of short answer that we can provide now and then get back to that later in emails?
Actually, claiming exactly that and associating it with a body part is probably the way to claim it. I gave an example earlier of a right knee strain. Well, how do you know you have a right knee strain? Usually, some medical professional examined you and told you, yeah, you have a right knee strain. But what you know is you have pain in that right knee, and that is the way it should be described on the claim. Pain in the right knee. And if you're a veteran, there may be something in your records where you may mention to pain in the right knee. So describing what's ailing you is just as effective, if not more so, as stating an actual diagnosed disability.
Great, thank you again. I want to, thank you, Eric, for a great presentation. Very helpful, a lot of information. Thank you again, Eric, and to all the attendees. The great breakout session. Thank you all very much. We will close here and look forward to seeing you at the closing plenary.
Thank you, Brian, for giving me the time. Everyone have a great day, and thank you for your service, veterans, and thank you for all who support veterans.
Thank you.